Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're embarking on a journey into a timeless classic, a book that promises to unlock not just secrets to wealth, but a profound understanding of personal achievement. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
That's right.
This isn't merely a historical text. It's a meticulously crafted formula for success, born from over 2 decades of intense research into the lives and habits of hundreds of history's most prosperous individuals.
Over 25 years, actually. Hill really distilled a lifetime of insights into 13 actionable steps. It's basically a blueprint for material and personal success.
A blueprint, I like that.
And what's truly compelling about this work is how it bridges that often vast gap between just, wanting something abstract aspiration and getting tangible, practical results.
Right, makes it real.
It offers a direct pathway to being truly well-informed about success principles, but without the usual information overload we all deal with.
Yeah, there's so much out there.
Exactly. So whether you're strategizing for a major career move, deepening your understanding of personal development, or maybe you're just driven by pure curiosity, we're here to extract those essential nuggets of knowledge for you, the ones that, when you actually apply them, can genuinely transform your trajectory.
So what does this deep dive mean for you listening right now? It means we're about to explore the surprising facts, the core insights that have literally made fortunes for countless people, and, more importantly, how you can integrate these powerful concepts into your own life, starting today.
It's not just theory, it's a methodology, a proven one.
Okay, let's unpack this blueprint then. We should probably start out where Hill starts, with what he considers the absolute first and maybe the most crucial step: desire.
Desire. Yeah. And it's critical to understand what Hill means by desire. It's far more than a fleeting wish or, a vague hope.
Like, I wish I had more money.
Exactly not like that. It's
Yeah.
a keen, pulsating, definite obsession that must transcend pretty much everything else in your mind.
An obsession. Wow.
It's the foundational starting point of all achievement. Think of it like the internal furnace that fuels every single action you take afterwards. Without that burning intensity, your goals just remain. Well, fantasies. They lack the vital energy needed to actually happen.
So you have to cultivate this relentless, almost consuming ambition first.
That's what Hill argues, yeah. It's about unwavering commitment.
That's a powerful distinction, isn't it? We often confuse desire with simply wanting something casually. Hill really elevates it. And he gives some pretty compelling evidence, starting with one of his most famous stories, Edwin C. Barnes, and his pursuit of Thomas Edison.
Oh yeah, the Barnes story is classic Hill.
Barnes didn't just want a job for Edison. He had this definite, singular desire to work with Edison, to be his business associate. I mean, think about the audacity, the sheer conviction needed for that back then.
And the details of Barnes's journey are so important because they highlight the raw, unadulterated power of this kind of desire. Barnes literally traveled to Edison's lab by blind baggage.
What does that even mean, blind bag?
Hitching a ride on a freight train. Clandestinely. Often dangerous. He showed up looking, as Edison himself later described him, like an ordinary tramp.
So no money, no connections.
Nothing. No money, very little formal education, absolutely zero influential connections. But his sheer determination, it was just so palpable, so undeniable that Edison, who was renowned for his insight into people, he recognized it immediately. Edison later reflected, "He stood there before me looking like an ordinary tramp. But there was something in the expression of his face which conveyed the impression that he was determined to get what he had come after." That, right there, for Hill, is the unmistakable signature of a burning desire.
And the outcome of that radical determination, it wasn't immediate, was it?
No, not at all. Barnes started at the most menial level, doing simple, unglamorous work in Edison's facility. But, and this is key, for 5 long years, he held that definite dream in his mind. He visualized it constantly, feeling like Edison's partner every single day.
5 years. That's persistence right there.
Absolutely. He essentially burned all bridges behind him. He committed fully without any path of retreat. His burning desire was so strong, so definite, that it eventually translated into reality. He didn't just get a job, he became Edison's business associate.
Doing what
So
exactly?
specifically in marketing the Edison dictating machine, the Ediphone, and he became wealthy doing it.
Wow.
So this isn't just a historical anecdote, it illustrates a profound principle. No matter how daunting your initial circumstances look, a truly definite purpose, backed by that unwavering commitment, can overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. It totally redefines what's possible when you refuse to give yourself a fallback plan.
It's a stark reminder then that intense, definite desire, even when you feel like you're at your lowest, can open doors that maybe conventional privilege or education might never access.
Precisely. And Hill gives another powerful illustration of this same principle. Think about the legendary merchant Marshall Field after the Great Chicago Fire.
Right, the fire that devastated the city.
Utter devastation. Most merchants, looking at the smoking ruins of their businesses, they decided to leave Chicago. They thought it was too far gone to rebuild. The general feeling was just despair and retreat.
But not Field.
Not Field. He stood right there amidst the ashes, pointed to the smoking remains of his store, and declared with absolute certainty that he would rebuild the world's greatest store on that exact spot. And he added, no matter how many times it may burn down.
That's a level of conviction that goes way beyond just optimism, isn't it? It's like an active declaration of will against overwhelming adversity.
Exactly. And this unwavering burning desire transformed what was temporary defeat, the literal destruction of his business, into a towering monument to his will.
Yep.
Marshall Field's department store, which became this Chicago icon.
So the lesson there is,
It teaches us a crucial lesson. Temporary defeat should never be mistaken for permanent failure. It's actually a signal to reassess, to rebuild, and to persist, fueled by that intense desire to overcome whatever obstacle is in front of you, the willingness to face utter destruction and still declare a higher vision. That's what truly sets these exceptional people apart. It's the ultimate expression of commitment.
and of course, when we talk about unwavering determination like that, we absolutely have to mention Henry Ford.
Oh, definitely Ford. Hill uses him constantly as an example.
Hill describes how Ford, despite having very little formal schooling, no inherited money, no influential friends, still managed to build an industrial empire that completely transformed the world.
And his secret, according to Hill, was incredibly simple: desire. Knowing what one wants. That was it. His determination wasn't just a personality trait. It was this dominant, almost tangible force.
He famously declared, "I'll build the earth with dependable motor cars," even when all the established experts and financiers were scoffing at him, right?
They thought he was crazy. But he did it. And this highlights that success isn't fundamentally about privileged beginnings or even having a fancy education. It's about cultivating a clear, definite desire, felt so intensely that it translates into an unyielding will to achieve it no matter what.
So Ford's story, just like Barnes's and Field's, really underscores that the starting point for any significant achievement is always the intensity and the clarity of your desire.
It's the initial, powerful instruction you give to your own mind, and as Hill would argue, maybe even to the universe itself.
Okay, so once this intense, burning desire is cultivated, once it becomes that definite, pulsating obsession, how do we give it the substance and direction it needs to actually manifest? How do we build on that initial spark and make sure it doesn't just fizzle out?
Right, because desire alone isn't quite enough. This brings us to the next critical step in Hill's philosophy: faith.
Faith,
Oh.
okay? And this isn't necessarily religious faith he's talking about, is it?
Not exclusively, no. Faith, as Hill meticulously describes it, isn't a passive belief system. He calls it the head chemist of the mind.
The head chemist.
Yeah. He argues that it's a state of mind that can be actively induced or created. Think of it like the eternal elixir that gives our thoughts life, power, and action, and makes them potent enough to be picked up by the subconscious mind and, as Hill puts it, transmitted to infinite intelligence.
Infinite intelligence.
Yeah.
What does he mean by that exactly?
Well, for those who prefer a more pragmatic view, you could think of infinite intelligence as the vast, untapped potential of your own subconscious mind, or perhaps the collective knowledge and solutions available in the universe that become accessible when you're in these heightened states of mind. It's essentially the emotional charge, the conviction, that gives your thoughts real weight and direction.
That's a fascinating concept, that faith can be induced, that it's something we can actively cultivate rather than just passively hope for. So how does that work in practice? What's the mechanism?
Hill explains that when thoughts are blended with strong positive emotions, especially faith, but also things like love and sex energy, which we'll get to, they become colored in a way that allows them to instantly reach the subconscious mind.
Colored.
Yeah, like they take on an emotional frequency. Once there, the subconscious translates them into their spiritual equivalent, which is the only form that, according to Hill, induces a response from that infinite intelligence or activates your deeper potential.
Okay, I see. But what about negative thoughts? Does that work the same way?
Critically, yes. And this is a huge warning in the book. Negative beliefs like constantly feeling doomed to poverty or being absolutely convinced of inevitable failure, those are also picked up by the subconscious. And they get translated into physical reality too, creating these chilling, self-fulfilling prophecies.
So you can literally program yourself for failure if you're not careful.
Absolutely. The key then is to consciously and consistently feed your subconscious mind with positive, emotionally charged desires, just like you'd nourish your physical body with good food. You are, in essence, programming your internal supercomputer. You choose the software.
So it's not enough to simply think a thought. It has to be infused with powerful positive emotion, especially faith, for the subconscious to truly grab onto it and act on it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Which leads directly into the idea of autosuggestion. This sounds like the practical tool for doing this mental programming.
Autosuggestion. Right.
Autosuggestion is the very principle through which faith is developed and strengthened. It's the process of influencing your subconscious mind by repeatedly affirming what you desire.
How do you do that? Just saying it over and over.
You can do it aloud or in writing or both. The goal is to repeat it until it becomes a deeply held, unwavering belief. But here's the catch. The subconscious mind only acts upon instructions that are emotionalized and given with profound feeling.
Ah, the feeling again.
Yes. If you just recite words like a robot, without conviction, without truly feeling them, they won't penetrate that deeper level of your mind. They'll just stay as surface thoughts, essentially useless for this purpose.
And this connects directly to the practical application of Hill's famous 6 steps.
Right.
Those steps are really the cornerstone of his method for many people. It's how you take that abstract desire and infuse it with concrete faith using autosuggestion.
It does, perfectly, and it's really important to understand these steps clearly. Let's break down how autosuggestion fits in.
Okay.
Step 1. Fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire, or your specific, clearly defined life goal. Hill hammers on precision here. Vagueness is the enemy of definite desire. No fuzzy goals.
Be specific. Got it.
Step 2. Hold your thoughts on that amount or goal through intense concentration until you can actually see yourself already in possession of it. This isn't just passive daydreaming, it's active, immersive visualization. Engage all your senses, feel what it's like, see the details, really be there in your mind.
Okay, so really visualize it.
Step 3. Write a clear, concise statement of your definite purpose. What you want, when you want it by, what you'll give in return. Place this written statement somewhere you can see at night and morning.
Like on the bathroom mirror.
Perfect example. And you read it aloud just before retiring and immediately upon arising. You commit it to memory. This is your direct, repeated order to your subconscious delivered with the powerful emotion of faith. You are systematically programming your inner world with that definite vision, making it your dominant thought pattern.
Those all sounds incredibly intentional, almost like a form of mental training or maybe even self-hypnosis.
You could certainly see it that way. It is intense mental training. And we see the power of this kind of internal programming, again, in that story of Are You Darby and the Gold Mine? Another classic tale of near misses and really profound lessons.
Yes, the 3 feet from gold story. That one always gets me.
It's a painful but ultimately transformative lesson that really changed Darby's life. So Darby's uncle gets caught up in the gold rush fever, invests heavily, starts digging. After weeks of grinding labor, bam! He hits a rich vein of shining ore.
Jackpot. Or so he thought.
Right. He secures machinery, sends off the first carload of ore, and it proves it's one of the richest mines in Colorado. Huge potential. But then, as often happens in mining, the vein just disappeared, vanished.
No.
They drilled on desperately, trying to find it again, but nothing. Total blank. Finally, their faith just wavered completely. They decided to quit. They sold all their equipment to a local junk man for just pennies on the dollar, totally convinced there was nothing left.
And this is where the real kicker, the crucial insight comes in, isn't it? The difference between a temporary setback and just giving up entirely.
Indeed. The junk man, who maybe wasn't so junky after all, was smart enough to call in a mining engineer to check out his new purchase before scrapping it.
Good move.
Brilliant move. The engineer did some calculations, looked at the geology, and realized the fault line had shifted the vein slightly. His assessment showed the gold would be found just 3 feet from where the Darbys had stopped drilling.
3 feet. Unbelievable.
3 feet, and that's exactly where it was. Millions of dollars worth of gold just waiting there. It went to the junk man.
Ouch. That must have been incredibly painful for Darby.
Devastating, but this incredibly costly experience taught Darby a crucial, indelible lesson in persistence. He saw firsthand the devastating cost of quitting just before the breakthrough.
So how did this translate into his own life later on? How did he actually use that painful memory?
Well, many years later, Darby became an incredibly successful life insurance salesman. We're talking million-dollar sales, which was enormous back then. He credits that gold mine lesson. He remembered an experience with a persistent little girl who just wouldn't take no for an answer over a tiny 50-cent purchase. That kid's determination triggered something in him.
A flashback to the mind.
Exactly. He recalled that every time a prospect tried to bow me out without buying, I saw that child standing there in the old mill where I had lost the gold mine. And I said to myself, I gotta make this sale. He learned that, in his words, the better portion of all sales I have made were made after people had said no.
Wow. So the no became a trigger to persist, not to stop.
Precisely. This story, and its direct link to his later success, powerfully underscores the impact of persistent desire in overcoming obstacles. And crucially, the importance of learning from past failures rather than being defeated by them. He didn't just remember the gold mine, he applied the lesson, turning that past defeat into a future fortune.
That's such a profound shift in perspective, seeing no not as a dead end, but as a signal to double down on your persistence. It's about changing your internal script from, I guess I'll give up, to, okay, how do I adjust my approach?
Exactly. And this idea of faith, of a shared, definite purpose, it can achieve monumental things, even beyond individual riches. Hill points to someone like Mahatma Gandhi to illustrate this on a massive scale.
Gandhi. That seems like a big leap from selling insurance.
It is, but it illustrates the principle powerfully. Gandhi, by any conventional measure, had none of the traditional tools of power. He had no money, no army, no formal political office, zero leverage in the usual sense. Yet, he became arguably the most powerful man of his time.
Oh.
He achieved this through his profound understanding and, more importantly, his practical application of faith. He influenced over 200 million people to coordinate with mind and body in a spirit of harmony, a definite purpose.
Which was Indian independence.
Exactly. And this wasn't forced compliance. It was inspired unity, driven by an unwavering collective faith in that shared vision. 200 million minds focused on one definite goal.
That's truly astounding. To induce that level of harmony and unified action without any physical or financial leverage, it does sound almost miraculous.
Hill calls it a miracle in the book, and it really reveals the immense potential of harmonious group effort. It demonstrates that true power isn't just about physical force or money, but about the ability to unify minds toward a shared, definite goal with unwavering faith.
So if Gandhi could do that on a national scale,
Imagine what a smaller, focused group, like a mastermind alliance, can achieve when applying these very same principles. This profound concept is exactly why resources like the 1-Hour Guide by Anil Nathu emphasize these ideas, showing how harnessing collective consciousness and definite purpose can lead to extraordinary outcomes, whether you're aiming for national independence or building a successful business. It's scalable.
okay, so we've ignited our desire, we've programmed our minds with faith through autosuggestion. But desire and faith need tools, right? What about the practical structures needed to actually build our dreams? What's next in this blueprint?
Right. Now we get into the more tangible aspects. This leads us into the nature of specialized knowledge and the absolutely critical role of strategic planning.
Specialized knowledge, okay.
This is a point where Hill says many people misunderstand the path to success. He makes a very clear distinction. There are two kinds of knowledge, general and specialized.
General knowledge being like what you learn in school.
Broadly, yes. General knowledge, even if you have vast quantities of it, think of highly educated professors who might still struggle financially, is often of little use for accumulating wealth, according to Hill. Knowledge only becomes power when it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action toward a definite end.
So it's not just about what you know.
It's what you do with what you know, how you apply it strategically.
And perhaps even more, about knowing what you need to know and how to get that knowledge. Which brings us back to Henry Ford again and that fantastic story about him being challenged in court.
Ah, yes, the libel suit. That's a brilliant example. Lawyers were trying to paint Ford as ignorant because he lacked broad academic knowledge. They hit him with trivia questions like, who is Benedict Arnold? Or, how many soldiers did the British send over during the rebellion of 1776? Trying to make him look foolish.
And Ford's response was classic.
Pure Ford pragmatism. He essentially said, look, why should I clutter my mind with all that general knowledge when I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk? By pressing the right button, he could instantly summon an expert who did know the answer to any question related to his business.
That's such a practical lesson.
Yeah.
It completely reframes what being smart or knowledgeable actually means in the context of achieving big goals.
Absolutely. It shows that true success doesn't require you to be a walking encyclopedia. Not at all.
What does it require then?
It requires knowing what specialized knowledge you need for your specific purpose, and crucially, how to acquire and apply it, often by leveraging the knowledge of others. The pursuit of specialized knowledge isn't something that ends when you graduate. It's a continuous journey. You need to be the orchestrator, the conductor who knows how to bring together the right musicians rather than trying to play every single instrument perfectly yourself.
That's incredibly relevant today, with specialized knowledge exploding everywhere.
More relevant than ever. And this idea of leveraging others' specialized knowledge brings us directly to another core, almost revolutionary principle in Hill's philosophy, the mastermind principle.
The mastermind. This is a big one in the book.
It's fundamental to his entire system. Hill states unequivocally that great fortunes require power. And power, he says, is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized knowledge. But, and here's the key, this knowledge doesn't necessarily need to reside within the individual accumulating the fortune.
Like Andrew Carnegie.
Exactly like Carnegie, one of the wealthiest men in history, who openly admitted knowing next to nothing about the technical processes of making steel. He attributed his entire fortune to the power he accumulated through his mastermind group.
How many people were in it?
About 50 men, according to Hill. Each one was a specialist in their respective field: finance, production, chemistry, sales, logistics, you name it. Carnegie orchestrated this collective genius.
So it's about collaborative synergy, creating something far greater than the sum of its parts. For someone listening today, someone wanting to apply this, how do you actually form a mastermind group? What are the practical steps and what are the pitfalls?
Hill gives very practical guidance. First, you must clearly define the advantages and benefits you can offer each member in return for their cooperation. It's not always money. It could be shared vision, valuable experience, reciprocal support, access to your network or knowledge. It has to be mutually beneficial.
Makes sense. What else?
Second, arrange to meet with your group regularly. Hill suggests at least twice a week, or even more often if possible, especially in the beginning, to perfect your plans for achieving your goal. Consistent, focused interaction is absolutely key.
Okay, regular meetings. And the third point.
Third, and this is absolutely crucial, often the hardest part, and where many groups fail, you must maintain perfect harmony between yourself and every single member of your mastermind group.
Perfect harmony. That sounds tough.
It is. The mastermind principle, Hill insists, cannot function effectively without a spirit of complete harmony. Disagreements are fine, but underlying friction, resentment, ego clashes, those will kill the synergy. Hill believed this harmony created a psychic phase where collective spiritual energy forms an affinity, potentially tapping into infinite intelligence for insights and solutions. Any internal static jams that signal.
Harmony is so often overlooked in teamwork, but it sounds paramount here.
Yeah.
Almost like a prerequisite for that collective genius to actually emerge.
A total prerequisite. Okay, so you've got your burning desire, your faith, your specialized knowledge pipeline, and your harmonious mastermind group. Now you need a solid plan to translate all of that potential into actual results.
Right. Organized planning.
Exactly. Organized planning. The crystallization of desire into action. Every creation, every acquisition, it begins as a desire. That desire then moves into the imagination, where it starts forming concrete plans. Your level of achievement, Hill says, is directly proportional to the soundness, the specificity, and the adaptability of your plans.
So it's not enough to just wish for something. You need that detailed, strategic roadmap outlining how you're going to get there.
Precisely, step by step. But what happens when those plans inevitably hit a snag? Because let's face it, success is never a straight line.
Never. Things always go wrong.
Always. And Hill is very clear on this. He states that no one is ever truly whipped or defeated until they quit in their own mind. That's the only place true defeat happens.
The setbacks aren't failures.
Not at all. When temporary defeat comes, and it will come, it's not a sign that your goal is impossible. It's simply a signal that your current plans are not sound. They need adjusting.
So the solution isn't to abandon the goal.
No. Never abandon the goal if the desire is still burning. The solution is to rebuild those plans. Learn from what went wrong, create new, better plans, and set sail again with renewed determination.
He gives examples of this, right?
Oh, yeah. He points to historical figures like James J. Hill, the railroad builder who faced huge temporary defeats trying to raise capital, or Henry Ford, who had early bankruptcies and setbacks in his automobile ventures before the Model T. Both of them rebuilt their plans, learned from the failures, and went on to achieve massive financial victory.
So the practical lesson here is really profound.
Mm.
Expect setbacks. They're part of the process.
Absolutely. Use them as invaluable feedback to refine your strategy. Don't use them as excuses to abandon your definite purpose. Your plan needs to be dynamic, flexible, not set in stone.
This emphasis on resilience and adaptability in planning is so vital, especially today when things change so fast. It's definitely not a straight line to success.
Not even close.
And speaking of practical application in a changing world, Hill also delves into how individuals can best market their personal services. He talks about a changed world. And surprisingly, his insights from the 1930s feel incredibly relevant right now.
They really do. This concept of marketing personal services is remarkably forward-thinking. He saw this shift happening even then, moving away from an old public-be-damned attitude in business.
Right, like the old robber baron mentality.
Exactly. Moving towards a "we are obligingly at your service" policy. He argued the relationship between employer and employee was fundamentally transforming into more of a partnership. And crucially, the public, the customer, was emerging as the third and most important party in that equation.
So your success, your value, is tied directly to the service you provide to the end user, whether that's your boss or your client or the market.
Precisely. Your value is determined by the quality and nature of the service you render.
So how do we measure that value? How do we deliver service in a way that leads to success? According to Hill, he had a formula, didn't he?
He did. He introduced what he calls the QQS formula for success. It's simple, but really profound. QQS.
Okay, QQS, what does it stand for?
First Q is quality. Perform every single detail of your work with the highest possible efficiency. Always aim for greater improvement. Don't just meet standards, consistently exceed them. Strive for mastery in what you do.
Quality. Got it. Second Q.
Second Q is quantity. Make it a habit to deliver all the service you are capable of rendering, and consistently seek to increase the amount of service you deliver as your skills and efficiency grow. It's about productivity and expanding your capacity over time.
Quality, quantity, and the S.
And the third and critically important S is spirit. Cultivate an agreeable, harmonious conduct. Your attitude, your way of interacting, should induce cooperation from colleagues and clearly show that you are obligingly at your service. Andrew Carnegie, remember the mastermind guy?
Yeah.
He strongly emphasized this spirit aspect. He apparently valued harmonious conduct in his executives even more than sheer quantity or quality of work alone. He famously said he wouldn't keep a person, no matter how great their technical work was, if they couldn't work in harmony with others in the organization.
Wow. So a pleasing personality and a spirit of cooperation can actually make up for minor shortcomings in pure output. That's quite a revelation, especially in cultures that often focus only on raw metrics.
It truly is. It underscores that how you deliver your service can be just as important, if not sometimes more important, than what you deliver. It speaks volumes about the power of human connection, collaboration, and attitude.
And Hill provides a really remarkable case study about this, involving a woman who completely changed how her son marketed his services, right?
Yes. An amazing story. This energetic woman sees her college graduate son struggling to find a job during the Great Depression, a really tough time. So she takes matters into her own hands and creates this groundbreaking, personalized 50-page plan book for him.
50 pages, like a resume.
Way beyond a resume. This brief didn't just list his abilities and experience. It presented a specific, detailed plan for how he would fill the exact position he was applying for. It even included valuable suggestions for the prospective employer, showing he'd thought deeply about their business and how he could contribute immediately. It was basically an intelligent, proactive business proposal for hiring him.
That sounds like a completely different level of job application. Not just, here's what I've done, but here's exactly what I will do for you. What was the outcome?
The outcome was incredible. Her son didn't start at the bottom rung, which was the painful expectation for most graduates back then. He began his career as a junior executive, earning an executive salary right out of the gate. Hill estimates this approach effectively clipped off no less than 10 years of climbing the traditional corporate ladder.
10 years, just by changing the presentation.
Just by changing the presentation from passive listing to proactive planning and demonstrating value up front, it totally demonstrates the power of meticulously planned self-presentation. And it dismantles that old fallacy that you always have to start at the bottom.
Right. Hill advocates for deliberately planning to start maybe one or two steps above the bottom, doesn't he? To foster ambition and spot opportunities better.
Exactly. That ingenious strategy is a prime example of the kind of thinking you find distilled in resources like the 1 Hour Guide by Anil Matthew, illustrating the power of proactive, intelligent self-marketing, and how a detailed, personalized plan can help you leapfrog conventional career paths.
And this wasn't just a one-off anecdote. There's also the story of Dan Halpin, which highlights that your current job doesn't have to define your future.
Right, Dan Halpin, another Depression-era example. Graduated from Notre Dame, a good school, but the economy was terrible. He initially started selling hearing aids purely on commission, just trying to make ends meet.
Tough gig.
Very tough. But he wasn't satisfied just staying there. He strategically aimed higher. He successfully landed the position of assistant sales manager within that company. And then, because of his impressive sales record and demonstrated leadership potential, he was actively recruited to become the sales manager for a competing company.
So he used his performance in one role to catapult himself into a much better one elsewhere.
Exactly. It shows your current position doesn't define your ceiling. Strategic ambition, coupled with a clear desire and a proven track record of delivering exceptional performance, that QQS again, can position you to be seen by and seize much greater opportunities, sometimes from completely unexpected places. You make yourself visible.
So essentially, Hill is saying throughout all this that your brains, your ability to think, plan, learn specialized knowledge, and work harmoniously are your most valuable form of capital.
Absolutely. Unequivocally. He even puts a number on it, suggesting your annual income, when effectively marketed, represents about 6% of your total capital value.
How did that calculation work?
You just multiply your annual income by 16 2/3 to get a rough estimate of your human capital worth in financial terms. His point is, your brains are a form of capital that cannot be wiped out by economic depressions, it can't be stolen, and it's ultimately your most powerful asset for wealth creation. Money itself, Hill argues quite bluntly, is worthless as a sand dune without efficient brains to direct it intelligently.
It's the intelligence, the planning, the leadership behind the money that gives it power and enables accumulation.
That's the core idea.
Okay. These principles of knowledge and planning are incredibly empowering, but they have to be wielded with, well, with an unyielding inner strength, right? Which brings us to mastering our minds, particularly around decision-making, persistence, and confronting those insidious fears that often hold us back from even trying to apply these ideas.
Indeed. Now we dive into the deeper psychological architecture of success. Hill's extensive analysis, he apparently analyzed over 25,000 people who experienced failure, revealed a stark, consistent pattern. Lack of decision was right near the very top of the list of major causes of failure. Lack of decision. Interesting.
And its opposite, procrastination, he identified as a common enemy that practically every single person must conquer to succeed. So the ability to make prompt and definite decisions becomes absolutely crucial for success in any field, personal or professional.
And who better to exemplify unwavering, if sometimes controversial, decision-making than Henry Ford again?
Ford is the classic example, maybe even an extreme one. He famously stuck with the design of the Model T for years and years, even when his own advisors, his sales team, and many customers were begging him to change it. They argued he was losing market share to competitors offering more modern features.
And was he?
Probably.
But Hill points out that Ford's firmness of decision, while maybe bordering on obstinacy at times, ultimately yielded him a huge fortune before the change became absolutely unavoidable. His tendency towards being decisive, even when it looks stubborn, was far preferable, in Hill's view, to the common failure pattern, being slow to reach decisions and then being quick to change them at the first sign of trouble.
So the practical lesson is, be definite. Make your decisions, and stick to them unless there's a very compelling reason to change course based on new facts, not just opinions.
Exactly. And avoid being easily swayed by the opinions of others, whether that's the media, gossiping neighbors, or even well-meaning friends who don't understand your vision. Hill advises keeping your own counsel, especially when you're applying these principles. Only confide fully in your mastermind group, and only if they are in complete sympathy and harmony with your definite purpose. External noise, external opinions can be incredibly disruptive to your resolve.
That's such a powerful point about filtering external opinions. They can truly derail someone's commitment. And Hills drives this home with maybe the most monumental example of definite decision in American history, the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Yes, this is a truly compelling illustration of how definite decision, backed by immense courage, can literally change the course of history. The freedom enjoyed by Americans today, Hill argues, actually began with the definite decision of just two men, John Hancock and Samuel Adams, after the Boston Massacre, to basically demand the removal of British soldiers from Boston, a very bold move.
And that sparked something bigger.
That single bold decision sparked the idea of creating a correspondence committee among the 13 colonies. This was the very first instance of real organized planning by the colonists on a unified large scale. Later, Richard Henry Lee made his bold motion for independence in the Continental Congress, which then led to Thomas Jefferson drafting the Declaration.
And then came the ultimate act of courage, the signing itself on July 4th, 1776. That wasn't just putting pen to paper. It was a life-or-death commitment for those men.
Absolutely. On that day, 56 men signed a document they knew full well could be their death warrant if the revolution failed. They were literally staking their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor on that single definite decision.
That puts everyday business decisions in perspective.
Doesn't it? This profoundly definite act, born from deep conviction and incredible courage, created a nation founded on the privilege of making decisions. It underscores that definite decisions, especially when coupled with immense courage and unwavering faith, can lead to monumental achievements that go far beyond just making money. It shows the sheer transformative power of human will when it's directed by a singular, unyielding purpose, no matter the potential personal cost.
So once that definite decision is made, how do you sustain it? How do you keep going through all the challenges, the criticisms, the inevitable setbacks? That's where persistence comes in, right?
Yeah.
Another critical pillar that Hill says most people lack.
Persistence, yes. Hill describes it as the sustained effort necessary to maintain faith. It's basically your insurance policy against failure. He notes rather bluntly that lack of persistence is a weakness common to the majority of people. But the good news is, it's a weakness that can be overcome by sheer intensity of desire.
How does he suggest overcoming that inertia?
He uses a great analogy, breaking out of a nightmare. You know that feeling where you're paralyzed and can't move? But eventually, by focusing your will, you manage to twitch one muscle, then another, and finally you snap out of it.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Hill says you must do the same with mental inertia. You might have to start moving slowly at first, consciously forcing yourself to take the next step, then increasing speed, until you gain complete control over your will. His mantra is simple. With persistence will come success. It's like a muscle. It gets stronger the more you use it.
That's a hopeful analogy. And Hill provides some really vivid examples of persistence in action, doesn't he? Like Fannie Hurst, the writer, and the singer Kate Smith.
Oh, absolutely. Fannie Hurst came to New York in 1915 with the definite desire to turn her writing into riches. For 4 grueling years, she endured what Hill calls the sidewalks of New York, experienced just relentless struggle, countless rejections, near poverty. She labored writing by day and hoped by night.
4 years is a long time to struggle.
It is. And when hope inevitably dimmed, she didn't give up. She apparently stood on Broadway and defiantly declared, "Very well, Broadway, you may whip some, but not me. I'm going to force you to give up." And eventually, Broadway did yield. Her persistence conquered the literary world, and she became a very highly paid writer.
What about Kate Smith?
Similar story, different field. Kate Smith sang for years without money and without price, basically taking any chance she could get on any microphone available. Broadway initially gave her a really hard time, put her through the ringer, but she just kept going. Hill writes that Broadway finally got tired and essentially said, "Oh, what's the use? You don't know when you're whipped, so name your price and go to work in earnest."
So her persistence wore them down.
It seems so. She named a figure that was astronomical for the time, far exceeding most people's annual income, and she got it. It demonstrated, as Hill puts it, that it pays to be persistent. He points out that thousands of singers who might have had more raw talent failed simply because they lacked her sheer courage to keep on keeping on through the rejection.
Those stories really drive home the point that talent and desire alone just aren't enough without that unshakable will to persist through the tough times. So for the listener who might be thinking, okay, I lack persistence, how can someone actively develop this crucial quality? Are there specific steps Hill recommends?
Yes, he outlines 4 simple, actionable steps to cultivate the habit of persistence, and he emphasizes they require no great intelligence or education, just consistent effort and conscious application.
Okay, what are they?
First, a definite purpose backed by a burning desire for its fulfillment. It always starts with that intense why.
Desire again, step one.
Second, a definite plan expressed in continuous action. You need that roadmap and you need to be actively working it, constantly moving forward.
Plan and action. Got it.
Third, a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences. This includes negative suggestions from relatives, friends, acquaintances, anyone who might sow seeds of doubt, even if they mean well. You have to protect your mindset.
Shielding your mind. That sounds important.
Critically important. And fourth, a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage you to follow through with both your plan and your purpose, essentially, your mastermind alliance. That support system provides encouragement and accountability to keep you going when things get tough.
Purpose, plan, protected mind, people. Makes sense. Does he also mention things that signal a lack of persistence? Like warning signs?
He does. He lists several common symptoms, things like failing to define your purpose clearly, procrastination, the archenemy, wishing instead of actively willing, compromising with poverty or mediocrity, always looking for shortcuts. But the most insidious symptom, the one he really emphasizes, is the fear of criticism.
Ah, the fear of criticism. That seems to come up again and again. It's something almost everyone struggles with, especially now with social media and constant judgment. How does that specific fear undermine persistence and success?
Hill calls it insidious because it destroys initiative and actively discourages the use of your imagination. Both are absolutely crucial for any significant achievement. This fear makes people avoid setting high goals because they worry what others will think if they fail. It stops them from taking necessary business chances. It even prevents people from correcting unhappy life situations like bad marriages or unfulfilling jobs, all out of fear of what others will think or say.
It's paralyzing.
Totally paralyzing. Napoleon Hill himself admits he experienced this intensely. When Andrew Carnegie first proposed the massive 20-year project of organizing a philosophy of achievement, Hill's mind immediately flooded with excuses rooted in this fear. People will think you're crazy. How will you possibly earn a living doing this? It's too big. He realized in that moment that most ideas are stillborn and need the breath of life injected into them through definite plans of action. That fear of criticism nearly killed his own life's work before it even began.
Wow. That really highlights how deep-seated this fear can be. It can stop world-changing ideas dead in their tracks.
And in today's social media landscape, where the potential for public criticism is constant and amplified, this fear is probably even more potent for many people.
It's interesting, though, that in his examples of persistence and defying societal norms, he includes a rather controversial one, Wallace Simpson and King Edward VIII. It seems a bit out of place in a book focused on accumulating riches.
It does seem surprising at first glance, but Hill presents Wallace Simpson as an astounding example of applied persistence because, in his view, she triumphed over unbelievably long odds through sheer determination and a definite purpose, which was love and marriage to Edward. King Edward VIII, for his part, made a decision that required immense courage, arguably the ultimate defiance of criticism and societal expectation, to give up the crown of the world's most powerful empire for the woman he loved. Hill interprets this not just as a romantic gesture, but as a choice driven by a burning desire for love, demonstrating that true happiness and fulfillment sometimes demand defying established norms and enduring intense public scrutiny.
So it's an example of persistence towards a different kind of riches emotional fulfillment.
Exactly. Their story, while certainly controversial and viewed differently by many, serves for Hill as a powerful illustration of self-determination. It shows the profound impact of definitive choices made in the face of overwhelming obstacles and criticism. It showcases the sheer power of persistence when one's deepest desire, whether that desire is for wealth or love or freedom, is truly at stake. It's a testament to acting on your own internal compass, regardless of external pressure.
Okay, so beyond developing persistence and decisiveness, what are the other major internal barriers to success that Hill identifies? He outlines the 6 basic fears, doesn't he?
Yes, the 6 basic fears.
Yeah.
He argues these are destructive states of mind that literally paralyze reason, destroy imagination, and kill self-reliance, all absolutely essential qualities for achieving your definite chief aim. They must be identified, understood, and consciously mastered.
Oh, the 6.
Number 1, fear of poverty. Hill calls this the most destructive of the 6. It paralyzes reason, destroys imagination, kills self-reliance, undermines enthusiasm, and actively invites failure. He attributes its origins to humanity's inherited tendency to economically prey upon one another.
How does that manifest today?
It shows up as chronic worry about money, fear of job loss, fear of economic downturns, intense anxiety about keeping up financially. This leads to playing it safe, risk aversion, and ultimately missing opportunities for growth and wealth.
Okay, fear of poverty. Number two.
Number two, fear of criticism. We've touched on this. It destroys initiative and imagination, leads to self-consciousness, lack of poise, developing inferiority complexes, negative attitudes, and constantly making excuses or alibis for inaction. And as we said today, it's magnified by online culture.
Got it. Number three.
Three, fear of ill health. This often manifests as hypochondria, where negative thinking and worry actually create physical symptoms. Hill cheekily notes that physicians seem less susceptible to disease, partly because they don't constantly fear it. This fear can lead to obsessive health worries, avoiding activities, and a generally diminished enjoyment of life.
Fear of ill health. Number four.
4. Fear of loss of love. Hill describes this as the most painful of the fears, often leading to extreme emotional distress, jealousy, suspicion, and in extreme cases, even impacting mental stability. He suggests women might be more susceptible due to historical societal dependencies, but it affects everyone. This fear can sabotage relationships and stop people pursuing goals if they think it might jeopardize a connection.
Okay, two left. Number five.
5. Fear of old age. This leads to a false belief that one is slipping mentally or physically simply due to age. It causes a loss of initiative, ambition, and self-reliance. This happens despite Hill's assertion that the years between 40 and 60 are often a person's most productive mentally and spiritually. This fear can cause people to give up on new ventures, learning, or reinvention, prematurely limiting their potential.
And the final one, number 6.
6. Fear of death. Hill considers this a largely useless fear, often exaggerated by religious fanaticism or misunderstanding. He argues from a philosophical standpoint that since energy and matter cannot be destroyed, only transformed, life itself as a form of energy likely just undergoes a transition. He sees death as perhaps a mere transition or maybe a long, eternal, peaceful sleep. Worrying about it is pointless and hinders living fully now. This fear can lead to a reluctance to take necessary risks or truly embrace life.
That's a comprehensive and, somewhat stark list of fears that can hold us back.
Yeah.
But beyond these core 6, he also talks about something even more subtle, a deeper kind of negative influence.
Yes, and he considers this potentially even more dangerous because it's so subtle. He calls it susceptibility to negative influences, sometimes referred to as the devil's workshop.
The devil's workshop. Sounds ominous.
It represents the insidious way negative influences from our environment seep into our subconscious mind, often without us even noticing. Most people unconsciously leave their minds wide open to the negative thoughts, opinions, and suggestions of others, whether it's cynical news cycles, constant complaining from colleagues, toxic social media feeds, or pessimistic family members. It operates below our conscious awareness, subtly shaping our beliefs and eroding our ambitions. Hill believed it could be more fatal to success than all 6 basic fears combined because it's so hard to detect.
So how on earth do you combat these pervasive fears and this constant bombardment of negative influences? What's the practical guidance for developing mental immunity?
Hill offers clear, direct advice. It requires conscious effort. You must deliberately cultivate a positive mental attitude as a daily practice. Make a firm decision to ignore minor symptoms of illness instead of dwelling on them. Be prepared, if necessary, to live without romantic love rather than compromising your core self out of fear of loss. Eliminate worry by deciding that nothing in life is worth the price of your peace of mind.
It sounds easier said than done.
It takes practice, definitely. He also stresses actively seeking the company of positive, uplifting people who support your goals, and constantly keep your mind busy with your definite purpose and your action plan. An idle mind is vulnerable. A mind filled with fear, he believed, actually transmits destructive vibrations to others, subtly repelling positive people and opportunities. Conversely, a fearless, positive mind attracts positive outcomes. It's a continuous, deliberate process of mind control, like constantly tending a garden, actively weeding out the negative thoughts and cultivating the positive ones.
Okay, so assuming we've strengthened our inner game, focused our minds, started conquering these fears, how do we tap into the highest forms of energy? How do we unlock our ultimate creative potential? This leads us to perhaps the most intriguing and maybe controversial part of Hill's philosophy, sex transmutation and the sixth sense. He links these to accessing true genius.
Right. This is where Hill ventures into a more metaphysical and energetic understanding of human potential. The core idea of sex transmutation is actually pretty straightforward, though perhaps provocative. He argues that sexual energy is the most powerful and creative driving force within human beings. It's a fundamental life force.
Okay, so what does transmutation mean here?
Transmutation means consciously harnessing and redirecting that powerful energy away from purely physical expression and channeling it into other forms of creative desire and action. It's about converting that raw, vital energy into fuel for your ambitions, your creativity, your leadership. When successfully transmuted, Hill believed this energy could elevate an individual to the status of a genius.
So it's about redirecting a primal, powerful force into a creative, productive one, not suppressing it, but channeling it.
Exactly. Channeling, not suppression. Hill is clear on that. This redirection definitely requires significant willpower and self-discipline, but the rewards, he claims, are immense. This transmuted force enhances your keenness of imagination, your courage, your willpower, your persistence, your overall creative drive. It becomes a powerful creative energy applicable to any field accumulating riches, scientific discovery, artistic expression, leadership, anything.
Does he give examples of people who did this?
He makes a bold claim. He observes that almost every great leader, builder, or artist throughout history, citing figures like George Washington, Napoleon Bonaparte, William Shakespeare, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, were individuals with strong sexual natures. He posits their genius found its primary source in this consciously or unconsciously transmuted sex energy. They channeled that immense drive into their life's work.
That's a big claim. He also highlights the influence of women in this process, doesn't he? Connecting it to a man's motivation.
He does, quite strongly. The book states rather plainly that man's greatest motivating force is his desire to please woman. He argues that this inherent desire, when tactfully understood and perhaps guided by a woman, gives her immense power to inspire man to achieve great heights.
That sounds a bit dated, maybe.
It certainly reflects the era it was written in, no doubt. But the underlying point about motivation and influence in close relationships holds some weight. He also adds a crucial caution, though. Intemperance in sex, like overindulgence in food or alcohol, dissipates this creative energy. He believed excess could be as destructive to reason and willpower as narcotics, hindering the path to genius and leadership. It's all about balanced, directed energy, not suppression, but not uncontrolled dissipation either.
Okay, so this redirection of powerful energy helps unlock what Hill calls the sixth sense and the creative imagination. He sees this as the gateway to infinite intelligence. How does he describe this elusive faculty? What does it feel like to access it?
Hill believes true genius is achieved by increasing the vibrations of thought, essentially, raising your mental and emotional frequency to a point where you can communicate with sources of knowledge not available through ordinary logical thought processes. This higher faculty is the sixth sense, and its functional aspect is the creative imagination.
So it's like intuition on steroids.
You could say that. He sees it as the direct link between the finite human mind and that universal storehouse of knowledge and intuition he calls infinite intelligence. Those sudden hunches, inspirations, flashes of insight, or revelations, they come through this faculty. It functions best, he says, when the mind is stimulated to an exceedingly high rate of vibration, often fueled by those harnessed emotions like faith, love, or transmuted sex energy, all focused on a definite purpose. This literally lifts the individual far above the horizon of ordinary thought, allowing for solutions and ideas that bypass slow, logical deduction.
That's fascinating. Are there any concrete examples of how this creative imagination manifests or how successful people cultivate it? It sounds almost mystical.
It can sound that way, but Hill provides practical examples. He mentions a successful financier he knew who had a habit. Before making any major decision, he would close his eyes for a few minutes to consciously draw upon a source of superior intelligence, essentially, deliberately tapping into his intuition or deeper subconscious wisdom.
A deliberate pause to listen inwardly.
Exactly. And a more profound example. Dr. Elmer R. Gates, a scientist credited with over 200 patents. Gates apparently used a personal communication room, a specially designed space, soundproof, with controlled lighting, where he would sit and intensely concentrate on all the known factors of an invention he was working on. He'd hold them in his mind until ideas and solutions regarding the unknown factors would suddenly flash into his conscious mind.
Flash from where?
From infinite intelligence, or his superconscious mind, according to Hill's interpretation. Gates apparently even earned a living just sitting for ideas for corporations and individuals, demonstrating a deliberate, almost scientific method for accessing this intuitive faculty. It wasn't just waiting for lightning to strike, it was creating the conditions for it.
Wow. And Hill himself had a very powerful, almost startlingly vivid personal application of this principle with his invisible counselors. That's one of the most unique parts of the book.
Yes, the Invisible Counselor section is truly remarkable and maybe the most illustrative personal anecdote. Napoleon Hill describes how he would hold nightly imaginary council meetings in his mind. His council consisted of historical figures he deeply admired and had studied intensely, people like Abraham Lincoln, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Charles Darwin, Napoleon Bonaparte, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Thomas Paine, Luther Burbank. Quite a lineup.
What did he do in these imaginary meetings?
He would act as a chairman. He'd address each figure individually, stating his purpose was to acquire specific desirable traits from them through autosuggestion. For instance, he'd focus on Lincoln to absorb his patience and justice, on Edison for his faith and persistence, on Ford for his determination. He meticulously studied their lives and philosophies beforehand to make these meetings as real as possible in his imagination.
That sounds incredibly vivid. Did these meetings feel real to him, or was it just a mental exercise?
According to Hill, they became astonishingly realistic over time. Each historical figure developed distinct personalities and mannerisms within his imagination, to the point where he sometimes found it hard to distinguish the imaginary meetings from reality. He felt their presence, heard their advice, engaged in dialogue.
Did he ever talk about this with anyone?
He actually discussed these uncanny experiences with Thomas Edison, who was still living at the time, and Edison's reported response was remarkable. "Your dream was more a reality than you may imagine it to have been."
Wow, so Edison maybe believed in this kind of mental connection too.
It certainly seems that way from Hill's account. This powerful technique illustrates how deliberate, sustained use of creative imagination can foster profound character development, enhance problem solving, and provide access to deeper insights. It's effectively training the sixth sense through voluntary self-effort, encouraging critical thinking and personal growth by intensely modeling desired attributes. It's about consciously shaping your inner world to produce tangible external results.
But it's really important to stress that the sixth sense isn't something you just get overnight by wishing for it, is it? It sounds like the culmination of mastering all the other principles first.
Absolutely crucial point. Hill is very clear. The sixth sense is not immediately available just because you read the book. It develops slowly. It often doesn't fully blossom until after age 40 or even 50, and only then through the consistent, dedicated application and mastery of all the other 12 principles discussed.
So it takes time and work.
Years of work. It's cultivated through years of meditation, self-examination, and serious thought. And critically, it requires being completely free from the dominance of those 6 basic fears. It's the pinnacle of disciplined mental and spiritual work, a faculty that emerges only as a result of profound personal transformation and mastery of the preceding steps. It's the capstone, not the starting point.
And finally, he brings all these concepts together with a powerful analogy, the brain as a kind of mental broadcasting system that really helps pull everything into a cohesive model.
Yes, that analogy beautifully unifies many of his core ideas. He explains that the human brain functions much like a broadcasting station, both sending and receiving signals. The subconscious mind acts as the sending station, broadcasting our dominant thought vibrations charged with emotion out into the ether, which he conceived as the universal field of energy and matter.
And the receiving part.
The creative imagination, the sixth sense, acts as the receiving set. It picks up ideas, inspirations, and solutions from that same universal ether, tuning into relevant thought vibrations from infinite intelligence or other minds.
And autosuggestion fits in how?
Autosuggestion is the mechanism that activates and tunes this whole broadcasting station. It determines what signals you consistently transmit, your definite purpose, fueled by faith, and therefore influences what signals you are most likely to receive. Just like radio waves need to be stepped up in frequency for transmission and stepped down for reception, Hill believed our thoughts must be stepped up into higher spiritual vibrations, primarily through faith and intense positive emotion, to effectively reach infinite intelligence and attract the corresponding results back into our lives.
So the final crucial takeaway for the listener then is really about being incredibly conscious of what kind of signals we're constantly sending out and trying to receive through our own mental broadcasting systems.
Absolutely. That's the crux of it. The critical point for you, the listener, is to ensure that the thought impulses you consistently feed into your subconscious mind are always positive and intensely emotionalized. You must diligently fill your mind with those 7 major positive emotions. Hill identifies desire, faith, love, sex, transmuted energy, enthusiasm, romance, and hope, and you must consciously, fiercely work to exclude the destructive negative emotions, especially the 6 basic fears.
Because by controlling your mind.
By controlling your mind, by becoming the conscious master of your own mental broadcasting station, you literally begin to control your destiny. This reinforces Hill's underlying message about opportunity, particularly in the context he wrote in. Capitalistic America ensures every person the opportunity to render useful service and to collect riches in proportion to the value of the service. The system, as he saw it, doesn't promise something for nothing, but it offers boundless opportunity for those who diligently apply these mental principles with discipline, intention, and an unwavering belief in their own inherent mental power.
Okay, so with all these incredibly powerful principles laid out, how do we bring it all together into a tangible action plan? What does all of this mean for you, listening right now, to start implementing today on your own journey towards personal and financial achievement?
Right, let's distill this down. Let's take these profound teachings and turn them into practical, actionable steps that you can begin applying immediately, drawing directly from the core wisdom of Hill's work.
Okay, step 1.
Step 1, define your definite chief aim, your burning desire. Get crystal clear on the exact amount of money or the specific life goal you desire. Don't be vague. Write it down in precise, vivid detail. Visualize it daily as if you already possess it. Feel the emotion and repeat your written statement aloud with intense feeling and conviction, especially just before sleep and immediately upon waking. This is your fundamental command to your subconscious, setting your internal GPS.
Be specific, write it down, visualize, repeat with feeling. Got it. Step 2.
Step 2. Cultivate unwavering faith through auto-suggestion. Truly understand and accept that your mind accepts what you consistently feed it. So, consciously choose positive thoughts. Emotionalize your desires intensely. Use those daily affirmations and vivid visualization sessions to actively program your subconscious for success, deliberately excluding thoughts of failure, doubt, or poverty. Remember, mere repetition of words isn't enough. They need that profound feeling to penetrate and activate your subconscious power.
Choose positivity, program with feeling. Okay, step 3.
Step 3. Build your strategic mastermind alliance. Identify specific individuals whose specialized knowledge, experience, influence, or even just their positive mindset can directly support your definite chief aim. Assemble a group, even if it's just one other person initially, and commit to regular, harmonious collaboration. Be very clear about the mutual benefits what you offer them in return for their cooperation. Foster a true spirit of partnership and shared advancements. And remember, harmony is key.
Find your allies, meet regularly, ensure harmony. Step 4.
Step 4. Organize and refine your plans. Translate your burning desire into a practical, detailed, step-by-step plan of action. How are you actually going to achieve this? But crucially, remember that temporary defeat is never a sign your goal is impossible. It's merely feedback that your current plans need revision. Be prepared to pivot, learn, rebuild, and create new, sound plans with unyielding determination. Flexibility in planning is just as vital as the plan itself.
Plan in detail, but be ready to adapt. Step 5.
Step 5. Develop unshakable persistence and decisiveness. Make decisions promptly once you have the necessary facts. Stand by them firmly unless new information clearly warrants a change. Refuse to be swayed by negative opinions or that crippling fear of criticism, even from people close to you. Keep pushing forward, especially when the going gets tough, when obstacles appear, when you feel like quitting. Your desire to achieve must always burn brighter than your fear of temporary setbacks.
Decide firmly, persist relentlessly. Step 6.
Step 6. Master your mind by conquering fears. Actively identify which of the 6 basic fears, poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, death might be holding you back. Consciously challenge them. Recognize they are just destructive states of mind that you have the power to control through disciplined thought. Fill your mind consistently with positive emotions, and deliberately seek the company of positive, supportive people who uplift your spirit and reinforce your definite purpose. Protect your mental environment fiercely.
Identify fears, control thoughts, seek positivity. Step 7.
Step 7. Harness your creative energy, think sex transmutation and the 6th sense. Understand the immense power of your vital energies, especially sexual energy, and consciously practice directing that energy into creative and productive endeavors related to your definite chief aim. Cultivate your creative imagination, your 6th sense, through a continuous application of all these principles, through regular self-reflection, quiet meditation, and being open to intuitive hunches and profound inspirations that can elevate your thinking and problem-solving.
Channel energy, cultivate intuition. Step 8.
Step 8. Embrace the QQS formula for service. In whatever you do your job, your business, your personal projects, consistently strive to deliver outstanding quality, increasing quantity of valuable service, and always maintain an excellent spirit of harmonious, agreeable conduct. Recognize that your ultimate employer or beneficiary is the public you serve in some capacity, and your value, therefore your potential reward, is directly determined by the value of this service you render. Aim for excellence in all three dimensions.
Quality, quantity, spirit, and service. And the final step, 9.
Step 9. Conduct annual self-analysis. Regularly, maybe at least once a year, take honest stock of your progress. Use Hill's detailed self-analysis questionnaire, it's in the book, or a similar introspective method. Honestly identify your weaknesses or areas where you've fallen short, not to beat yourself up, but to create a plan for improvement. And just as importantly, acknowledge and celebrate your virtues, your strengths, and your achievements along the way. This continuous self-assessment is absolutely key to sustained growth and ensuring you stay on course towards your definite chief aim.
Define, believe, ally, plan, persist, conquer fears, harness energy, serve excellently, analyze. That's a powerful framework. This deep dive, inspired by the profound insights of Think and Grow Rich and brought to you by the 1 Hour Guide by Anil Nathu, really reminds us that the path to success, however you define it, is rarely about just luck or inherited privilege or even external circumstances alone.
It really isn't. It's fundamentally about consciously applying these universal principles of the human mind. It's about harnessing our own inner power with unwavering intention and discipline.
So maybe here's a provocative thought to leave our listeners with. The secret to acquiring riches or achieving any great goal, as presented throughout this deep dive, isn't really a secret in the hidden sense at all.
Not really, no. It's advertised everywhere, isn't it? It's evident in nature, in the laws of physics and psychology. It's demonstrated in the achievements of great men and women throughout all of history. It's woven into the very fabric of our lives and potential.
The only real challenge, then, is perhaps...
The only real challenge is to first open your mind fully to its timeless wisdom, to truly embrace it, and then, and this is the most important part, to take consistent, persistent, and decisive action based on what you now understand. The knowing isn't enough. The doing is everything.
Thank you for joining us today. Buy the book at the 1 Hour Guide website for more business insights.